Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Police 911 and Fire Committee here. Today is November 22nd, 2023. First thing is we're going to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, as this will be the last meeting until next Monday. Present today, we have Public Safety Commissioner Justin Day, Chief of Police Mark Dvorak, and our 911 Administrator, PSAP Administrator Andrea Potacek, Councilman Joe Hockett, and appointed officials Chandra Phillips, the Finance Officer behind the camera today hiding, and City Attorney Paul Jensen, the lawyer. Somebody says. Justin, go ahead and fire away.
All right, well, we will just go ahead and start. There's not a whole lot today, but we'll go ahead and start with the police department. And go ahead, Mark.
All right. Officer Remmers and Officer Longcrow graduated from law enforcement training on Friday. Commissioner Day and myself, and actually Officer Aide attended that graduation. Officer Aide come on his own time, so we had to get good representation up there to watch them two graduate. Officer Fitzgerald starts the academy on Monday. He'll leave this Saturday at some point to get the, I don't remember what they exactly call it, basically get him settled in up there. So he'll be gone for 13 weeks at the academy before graduation. That's really it, except for I didn't get the complete 2 weeks of traffic enforcement completed. I do have a week worth of numbers to present to you. There were 52 traffic stops from November 7th through the 14th, or the morning of the 14th. 19 in construction. Total of 27 citations were written. 13 of those citations were written in the construction zone. 20 of the citations were written for speeding. 12 of the 13 citations.
Oh, slow down, buddy. I'm loving this. Go back. Take her easy.
How far back you want?
Go to the beginning, because I was like, this is really good information. If you let people absorb it, maybe they'll understand when it goes to 25.
All right.
It's gonna hurt.
Yeah. So 52 total stops, 19 in the construction zone. So that was just in 1 week. And officers had more chance to get out and work traffic because the caseload of calls coming in of other things besides traffic was lower during that week. So we had a chance to get out and do more traffic enforcement. And just go along with Officer Remmers and Officer Longcrow being back, that just adds to our force, so there will be more people out on the street now. So those numbers will hopefully stay up there. Well, maybe they'll go down.
We hope ultimately they will.
We hope they go down.
Yeah, there'll be officers out there ready to enforce traffic laws. But 19 of those 52 were in the construction zone. 27 citations were written, so you're looking at 50-50 chance if you're violating the traffic law that you're going to get a citation, and that 50% chance is going to be probably 10-20% chance of getting a warning in on the side streets or interior veins through town with a switch from 20 to 25.
I would put it at less than that.
Yeah, we'll see how people
Respond.
act and respond. So, okay, so 27 citations, 13 in construction zone. So if you're stopped in the construction zone, 19 stops, 13 were citations, you're looking at
19 13.
roughly 70% of the stops were
Do you have the average of the
citations.
miles per hour over those citations included?
No, I don't.
What's your gut feeling? How far are these people over that are getting tickets?
Depends on the part of town. In construction zone, I would say average of
5 over?
7 to
7 over,
8
8
over
over.
for the stop. Citation, it varies. Depends, well, I shouldn't say.
Time of day also has something to do with that. I mean, at 3 o'clock in the morning with absolutely no traffic, you know, it might be 5 to 7 to get a stop during the day. I've seen a lot of them, if it's 5 over, they're stopping them. You know, I've seen them 4 over stop, especially in the construction zone. But, you know, the tickets, it kind of varies, but for the most part, I think it seems like about 6 between, I mean, some of them are 5, some of them are 6, especially in that construction zone, because it is, when there are workers out there, when it is heavy traffic, they're not messing around.
Did that answer your question, Joe?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, of those 52, excuse me, out of those 27 citations, 24 for speeding, 12 of the 13 citations written in the construction zone were for speeding. So that's our main violation, speeding through town.
Okay. That's good stuff. It really is.
Because there for a while, when the stoplight started doing what it was doing and it was blinking red, it seemed like there for a while nobody knew what that meant. So we had quite a few stops for just going right through it.
And warnings.
But obviously, those were all warnings, because that was much more of an education factor at that point. It's gotten so much better. Everybody kind of seems to understand now, when it's blinking red, you stop and then go. The stop signs really helped. Yesterday, I think Chris went down there because they were working on it, weren't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I don't know what their plan is, but Troy called to get an officer down there to direct traffic while he had somebody down, they were looking in that box. So I think hopefully there is light at the end of that tunnel that we should be getting her fixed before too long.
Another thing I'd like to mention to the public listening in is check your headlights when the weather cools down, moisture gets inside your headlights.
Taillights,
and
headlights.
Your bulbs will go out more often in the winter and spring, or excuse me, fall and spring than they will in winter and summer. So a little bit more headlight violations or stops for it. We tend not to write a citation for a headlight out, because most people, including myself, have a headlight out. It's usually someone else that tells us that it's out, so. Oh, we
That's
do get
super
a-
embarrassing when someone tells you got a headlight out on your cop car too.
Yes.
Ask me how I know. To where it's like, uh-oh, okay, thanks. I'll write myself a fix-it ticket there and go park it.
And we do get a violation for some sort of headlight, taillight out. The violation or warning violation or ticket you received does not excuse you to keep driving your vehicle. You are still in violation of the law every time you drive that, and can be stopped again and cited for it. So a warning ticket is not an excuse to continue driving your vehicle.
Understood.
All right, that's all I have. Any questions?
Did we have an award winner at LET graduation?
Yes. Officer Remmers received the most inspirational officer in his academy class.
Nice.
And that's voted on by his peers in the
Yep.
class, so like his class selected him.
That's outstanding.
Yep.
And his class was 42 or 43.
Good
So,
size.
Yes, he had a big class.
Yeah.
20 years ago, my class was 24, I believe, so almost, we were getting close to double, and I guess the 40 numbers are pretty average nowadays.
And
Who
it
gave
was
the commencement address on this one?
Crusade?
commander of the highway patrol. He's retiring.
Well, he had his big retirement bash the other day up there.
Oh, okay. Yep. I tell you, the student who gave the kind of thoughts of the class really did a great job, and kind of what he related everything back to. It really seemed to stick with me because of the way he put it. It just summed up why we do what we do. But he went on to say, you know, when we're all little kids, we all want to be superheroes. We all want to change the world. We all want to save the world. He said, now as adults, doing what we do, he said, we actually get that opportunity, but not the way we thought we were going to when we're 5. When we go to this situation where this little kid is being abused or being molested or being hurt, he said, as soon as we get there, that little kid hands us their entire world and expects us to save them from this. He said, when we walk in and the husband is giving us his wife who is on the verge of ending her life, this husband is giving us his world, placing his world within our hands as soon as we walk in the door. This wife who has called because there's an abusive situation, she is giving us her entire world. He said, so every opportunity, one interaction at a time, we truly get the opportunity to change the world. We just do it one world at a time. And so to hear him say that, I mean, we were all just kind of looking at each other, right? Like, we've been in this for, I don't know, 40 years combined, and Chris was standing there with us, and we all just looked, and we all just kind of silently nodded. The way that this young officer really summed that up,
Good way to put it.
it was wonderful. So yeah, it was really cool, and it was wonderful to see Brian get that award because he had no idea.
Wow.
Nothing.
Cool.
And his demeanor didn't change. He just kind of smiled and walked up like Brian does. That guy doesn't get rattled. He just, it was really, really a neat ceremony.
Okay. Nothing, no further questions?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
$20,000 for a control panel.
Andrea?
So apparently I'm just here spending money.
Good report, Mark.
This better be a diamond studded control panel for 20 grand.
Well, technically, for what it does for us, it's worth all of that, I guess. So yeah, this is just, we've talked before about the switch that needed replaced, and we had that quote. We were waiting for this one to come for the control panel part of it. Yeah, another $20,000 for that. This one, they do the install on, so they'll have somebody down here. I'm told from Jeffrey that is a 2-day job. It's because they're doing an update as well as installing. It's not quite just a take this one out, put this one in. They've got to do some rewiring and things like that, so it'll most likely be a 2-day job. The second part on there is, they say it's optional. So that's, $2,100 that they're deeming optional. What I understand that part to be is the audible alarm that we have inside the building that lets us know if there's an issue with the generator. So I don't know that a final decision's been made on that particular part being installed. I don't necessarily see that being optional, but like I said, I don't know that anybody's made a decision on that part. But that particular piece, we would have to have an electrician come in and do
So it's
some
not
wiring.
20,000, it's more.
A little bit more.
Well, do you remember, Andrea, what the quote was for the switch too? Because this is a 2-part deal.
Yeah, no, the
Same.
switch was 20.
Yep. So
The switch was 20,
and then
and
this
then
is
this will
20.
be 20. And then
with-
we're still waiting to find out whether or not the city's electrician feels like, if they have time and if this is something they can do for us.
This is one of those, I have spoken with them, and I kind of visited with Jeff about this too. This one is we're gonna have to go out
Okay.
for a quote on the install in this.
Why would we have to on this one?
It's not proprietary.
for whoever's going to install
My
the
thought is,
switch.
why wouldn't we use the city electrician?
I don't think they can do this one.
You don't think he's capable?
He did not feel like he was
Okay,
capable of doing this one.
that's the information that
Yep.
I wanted to hear.
Yeah,
So,
he said with the way, because he looked at it, he said he has been involved with something similar to this, but they had a group of 6 people that were working on the previous one that he had been a part of, and it was not as technical or difficult as this one is going to be. So he did not feel that he himself alone could tackle this one. So we will probably, I mean, we're gonna go out with the locals, but we're also going to go beyond the local on this one as too, because this one may take an army, and it's pretty specialized. So if the local guys want to look at it and if they feel they can do it, okay. But we're gonna open this one up for the install on that switch.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking out loud here. But listening to you talk about this, and me not obviously understanding some of the technical involvement here. But when you talk about whether it's local guys or regional guys or whatever, you're going to give them the opportunity to decide if they're capable. What criteria do we put out there when we're obtaining quotes? So that if the low quote person is somebody that has overestimated their abilities and puts us in a bind, where does that leave us?
That leaves us with you, and so we will be with you on writing this up.
I was going to say, so we need to establish these
Kind of an
criteria
RFP, yes.
before we go for the quote.
Yes, without question.
Perfect. Okay.
I also want to, because as I said, Ray took a look at it, and he's kind of familiar with the process, but I don't really know, he was speaking Chinese or Greek to me.
sure, because this is optional, what does this do that we didn't previously have?
No, this isn't the optional part. This is
Just the part that's labeled number 2, the
The-
action alarm panel.
Which would require the customer to have an electrician of their,
I'm talking about the switch.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
whoever
Justin
does
went
the
back to
switch,
the
we'll put
switch.
this in too. Because as Andrea
Okay.
kind of said, she doesn't feel this is truly optional, because we need to know if there's a problem with that, Jenny, before we need it.
hold on, did we just jump from the wiring on this to the optional again?
So what Justin was
think you
referring
did.
to, like the quote
You're
that we brought
bouncing.
before for the switch that's actually down in the basement.
Yep.
That part, we have to provide an electrician. Cat Butler does not do that. They don't have an electrician that can install that for us. So that is what we had Ray take a look at. He wasn't 100% comfortable saying he could do that, so we're going to get quotes for that particular install.
Okay.
This,
What does this control panel do that we didn't have before?
nothing.
Nothing. Well, I mean,
We
this-
have this currently.
This is what we have currently. It's getting, so segment 1 for the install engine
Yep.
and generator control module.
Yep, I see
That's
that.
on the actual generator itself. That's
Yep.
the control panel.
What's number 2?
Number 2 is,
alarm
in dispatch where we have the fire panel box on the wall?
Yes.
There's a little black cat box right next to it, and it's the alarm system for the generator that tells us if there's something wrong. There's an audible alarm that goes off in dispatch.
To let you guys
They
know.
consider that an optional piece. We don't, because we
Okay.
need to know if there's a problem.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
Yeah.
And
I'm
this is
sorry.
where we would need,
This
again,
is, as you guys are talking about the technology of Ray and his partners being foreign, I look at this and I've been down in the network room, I've seen all of that, but I don't know these, and I need
same.
you to let these guys know what's the difference.
Yeah.
How does it set up? What's the value to you
Yeah.
and to,
And I don't know, as far as I'm aware, I think Jeff just got this email here this week. So I don't know that anybody's had a conversation with Ray about this particular piece, because this is just running some updated wiring from the generator to the alarm panel in dispatch. So that
That's what I
potentially
was
is
asking
something.
if I went
That-
That
raised.
potentially is
This
something
could
that he
be a rate
could,
project
we
with
haven't
that
had a
piece.
conversation with
Okay.
him about this particular
Okay.
part here.
Yeah, no, the switch install is what I was talking about, that we're probably gonna have to.
Correct.
The hardware you
That's where
don't
my mind
consider
was at, yeah.
optional.
No.
In the
We have
wiring,
to.
our
The
city
wiring
electrician
potentially,
can
Ray,
do.
we haven't had a chance to have him take a look,
Okay.
as far as I'm aware.
Okay.
Which confused me. in-
I'm sorry, yeah, we were in
when
two
we're
different
talking-
worlds here,
yes.
but yeah,
And it-
all
yeah.
to do with this, but yes.
Yeah.
The install of the switch in the basement is, Ray felt was above what he could
Okay.
accomplish on his own.
Okay,
So-
that makes sense to me.
One word of, that I want a definition of, what is the annunciator site?
That's in dispatch. That would be the little black
Is that where
box.
the alarm
Yeah.
itself is?
That's where the
Yeah, that's where the alarm
audible
itself
alarm
is now.
itself.
Okay, thank you,
Yes.
that makes sense now.
Yeah, he made a note there about perhaps in Jeff's office. Well, there's not always someone in there, which is
Right.
why it's in dispatch, because there's always somebody in there.
Right,
So it would probably just stay where it is,
And I
my
believe
opinion.
current layout of offices may change, so that's static.
Well, yes. Yes, that also. But yeah, I mean, I feel like dispatch is probably the best place, because the only other place where there's somebody all the time is the control room, and there's really not room. I mean, the box is fairly small, but I don't know if, since it's already in there, probably
Why
just
move
extra
it?
work to
Yeah.
move it. I
Yeah,
don't,
why move it if it's already in there?
so, yeah, like I said, I don't feel like that's an optional piece, because otherwise the alarm will be going off and nobody will know unless somebody is outside and hears the alarm going off at the control panel itself. And we don't necessarily want to rely on that.
Okay,
Two pieces of the same puzzle.
gotcha.
yep.
Now I'm following both clearly.
See why she's in charge?
No,
Yeah. I tell her that all the time, isn't it? That's why you're the boss.
I'm not saying no, that's not, that's
No,
good.
I'm with you. Full circle, we got back there.
By the way, without saying the name out loud, I appreciate the name of the person that established, or that, whose name goes on this quote.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
without question.
Any other questions about the control panel?
No, I'm good. We need to present it and move forward.
So just a quick update, last time we were here, we visited a little bit about the potential future legislation regarding the increase of the surcharge rate. After that meeting, we sat down with Rocky Blair and kind of let him know what was potentially coming and what that meant to our PSAP here. And he was on board and willing to be supportive for if and when that does get brought up at the next session. One of the things that, let's see, is it Troy? Yeah. One of the things that Troy wanted to focus on when they're building this legislation is what, he was asking the other PSAPs to put forward what percentage of our expenses the surcharge is currently covering. We've kind of talked numbers a little bit before, but what I came up with real quick was I did 2021 and 2022. In 2021, the surcharge covered 25.99% of our expenses, and in 2022, it was 25.72. So, downward trend like we've seen, not a steep slope, but when you put that percentage into dollars and cents, it looks a little steeper. So I've given those numbers to him so that he could provide them to the necessary people. I think at some point, we're gonna try to sit down and have another
know,
I
meeting.
like where he's going.
Yeah,
I really do.
In all of the study that has been done so far by, whether it's locally here or the other PSAPs in the state, has anybody come up with what should be a recommendation for what percentage should be covered by?
No, but that's where he's going, I think.
I would hope so, yeah. Somebody needs to give them
Yeah.
a solid reason.
And it needs to be consistent between all of them, where
Yep.
some of them, I'm guessing, are getting about 45% of their funding,
Yeah,
some 33, maybe some less.
yeah. And that was one of the things that Jason brought up, was that, you know, he can easily see the argument on the other side being, you know, when you look at our call volume in terms of 911 versus total call volume, and 911 making up about 20 to 30% of our call volume, well, that's what your surcharge covers, so the state's doing its part. And he's like, but, you know, that, the call volume doesn't take into factor all of the equipment that we're required to have to be able to take those calls, the staff that we have to be able to take those calls. So, that's really the biggest part that we need to press upon them is, you know, sure, if you wanna look at that very small part of it, then yeah, 25% of our call volume is covered by, but that's not,
To qualify for the 911 state surcharges as a PSAP, we have to meet the requirements of having 2 staff.
that's for the additional incentive funds.
That's for the additional,
Yep.
and what percentage does that make of our
So when you.
disbursement?
In 2021, if you add the incentive funds, the surcharge plus incentive funds would have covered 29.83% of our expenses versus 25.99 if we were not getting those incentive funds. And then in 2022, we received a little over $29,000 in incentive funds. And with the added surcharge rates, we had 29.45% of our expenses covered versus 25.72 without the incentive funds. So it's 3 to 4, about 3.5%.
And to qualify for that 3.5%,
There's a lot of different things, you know, we have to, you know,
minimum of 2 staff.
2 on staff. There are requirements with our generator, you know, things that keeping that up to date and all the testing and stuff that we have to do on that. Equipment requirements, things of that nature, and I can get a list from our last audit. But yeah, those are to get that additional money, and there's only 11 PSAPs in the state that qualify for that.
Huh.
And that was one of the things that I did bring up to Jason, and we mentioned it to Rocky as well, as I was going through and looking at the percentage of those incentive fees and stuff that are given to the different PSAPs. I haven't been able to find anywhere that will definitively say that that's based on population for the area that we dispatch for. But when you look at the numbers, it's very obvious that that's what it is. Jason said he was gonna look into it and see if he could find where it was coming from. But I mentioned to him that as I was going through these in 2021, about halfway through the year, as I was going through, it seemed like everybody's percentage that they were receiving was going down until you got to the 2 big PSAPs, and theirs went up. The other 9 went down, but those 2 went up. And so, you know, that's where we talked about, that it can't just be population, and I showed him those numbers too. When you look in terms of the population that we serve, we're the bottom. We're the absolute bottom. But when you start looking in terms of call volume, for 911 calls, we are 5 and 6 for those couple of years. And so,
Significant.
you know, he was a little surprised at that. You know, when you look at call volume overall, admin versus, we're still not last. You know, we're probably 7, 8. It's a little lower versus the 911 calls only, but, so I think I mean, we're learning things because I didn't even realize that it was that bad, but they're learning as well. You know, Jason, he's obviously new to the position, and so he's taking in all of this information because it's a learning experience for him as well, but it's also a bit of an eye-opener, and I'm hoping that it will be to enough people that we can get something done
Yes.
about it.
And for what it's worth, I guess it really doesn't matter, but very, very excited to start working with Jason. He's not coming in thinking he knows everything there is to know. He's excited to learn new things. He's excited to put it into practice. You know, Maria was wonderful, but this Jason is also very wonderful and excited to learn what he doesn't know, and not scared of what he doesn't know, because he knows he's going to learn it and implement it in a fair approach.
That was one of the things that I do need to get done, maybe, I don't know if I'll get it done today, but maybe after the holiday. I'm gonna send out an email to the sheriffs and chiefs for our agencies. And, you know, the more people that are having conversations with their representatives and stuff, and the more awareness that there is going into this next session, I think the better chance we'll have at getting some success there, because it does impact them. That was one of the questions that Rocky asked, and he's absolutely right. The surcharge rates, it gets paid to the counties, and then they use that money to pay for their 911 services. And there are some counties that used to be able to kind of break even. They could cover their 911 costs with their surcharge money. That's not the case anymore, and it's definitely not the case for our counties. So I know that we could get them on board with reaching out to their contacts and kind of pushing people a little bit that way. So I will get an email out to them and then touch base with them too. See if they'd be willing to help us out there, because it ultimately helps them as well. So, same goal.
Okay. Fire department,
Working on the quotes for the roof.
multiple.
What does it look like? Don't wait. Okay.
Don't know. He hasn't shown them to me yet, but been texting him, and he said that's what he's working on currently, so.
Any questions, Joe? I have a dumb question.
Just keep pursuing that. That's great. Your efforts are to be commended for
100%.
forward with that, because anything that'll, if they can see the true picture, I think, our legislature, they can, you know, maybe make it a little bit more fair for us down here.
Yeah.
If they can see the true picture, that's up to us to show them the true picture. Okay, thank you.
Those speed boards that we have coming in from the east, and then I think we have a couple in town on 7th Street. How expensive are those?
I don't know, I think a grant wasn't it? Back in the day. We can check on that.
Yeah, I'm just curious
Absolutely.
about the price. I think they're a great deterrent.
Especially when they flash red and blue.
Can we put cameras on them?
I'm sure you can, yeah, but I know that they use traffic cameras in certain places.
Yeah, those people call them speed trap cameras, that thing has been through courts so many times, I think even in Iowa.
Iowa's a big one, yeah.
I don't remember how it turned out, but.
Not good, because you
that
can't
might be
prove who's
Not
something
driving.
that, our city wants to stay away from litigation on that.
Thank you.
Please.
Yeah, please. I concur.
No, go ahead.